this is the information from the acting Prime Minister's office, and therefore SABC will continue to investigate and try to get the real information in terms of whether what the Prime Minister's office is saying is true or what has been reported is true. These are conflicting reports. The office of the Prime Minister saying the king is still in Swaziland. He had a meeting this morning. You have some, not all, of the activists, particularly those who have fled South Africa some years ago, who are in South Africa saying that the king has fled the country. But the Prime Minister the acting Prime Minister is having a media briefing in an hour's time where he is going to communicate this information. But it will be critical perhaps also for the king to come out and speak to the nation, speak to the region, speak to the continent on his whereabouts, or confirm that he is still in Swaziland. While we don't see the king, the information will continue that says he has fled the country, because even if the Prime Minister is able to address the media, to some people, it will still not be a convincing information unless they see the king in Swaziland. And therefore, media will pose such questions to the Prime Minister later today when he is having that press conference. And we are hoping that as SABC, we will be able to have access to that media briefing so that we can have a authoritative information from the Prime Minister's office on the king's whereabouts.
Of course, we're looking forward to that media briefing. But what did the Prime Minister tell you about the security of the king if, as he says, the king is still in the country, but is his position still secured?
The person from the Prime Minister who was inviting SABC to this media briefing in an hour's time indicated that there are no concerns around the security of the king now, and he is still in Swaziland. He met the ministers this morning. I think more information will be divulged during this media briefing that is going to happen in an hour's time. I think even more questions will come out to try and probe the acting Prime Minister in terms of their response to these protests in Swaziland, whether they will hear the cry or the request from those who have organized the march to have a meeting with the king or with the Prime Minister to look at how the Prime Minister is being appointed. In other words, the Prime Minister, in Swaziland, the head of state is the king. You have the Prime Minister who is responsible for other government business. But the king is both the head of state and the head of government when you talk of the powers and functions of running the country. Therefore, the people in Swaziland who have organized this march, they want a clear separation of powers between the head of state, the king, and the Prime Minister, who is in this case expected to be the head of government, to have powers, but also he must be elected by ordinary people, not the king.
Thank you so much for updating us, and of course we await to see the eventuality and the content of the